Russian special forces have liberated more than 40 children from an Israeli-registered ship, as President Putin's war against the global adrenochrome industry kicks into high gear. Following the discovery of a factory farm operation in Ukraine, Putin formed an adrenochrome task force of special agents and hand-picked Spetsnaz to deal with the growing crisis. According to reports, an Israeli-registered ship was apprehended within the Russian sphere of influence in the Black Sea on July the 10th, and children being held captive in atrocious conditions. Hardened Russian soldiers, who thought they'd seen it all before, fought back the tears as they described the horrors of finding so many children with fragile, emaciated bodies hooked up to their intravenous drips, while their bodies were expertly drained of blood and adrenal fluid for the global adrenochrome trade operating out of Israel. This is a significant discovery, and Putin is determined to use the leads generated to destroy the global adrenochrome supply chain and punish those committing crimes against children. Before we dive in, subscribe to our Rumble channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community for uncensored breaking news and commentary, and to join a community of brave truth seekers determined to bring the criminal elite to justice. According to the Kremlin, President Zelensky's Kiev regime has been earning hundreds of millions of dollars per year by raising children in degrading factory farm conditions and selling them to the highest bidder on the international market, no questions asked. As Putin explains, the Western elite have been stuffing their bellies with human flesh for centuries, and the time has come to call it out and hold them to account.
В западных элитах очень сильно желание заморозить существующее положение, несправедливое положение вещей в международных делах. Они привыкли столетиями набивать брюхо человеческой плотью, а карманы деньгами. Но они должны понять, что бал вампиров заканчивается.
Unspeakable crimes against children have united the vampiric elite as a secretive cabal whose actions behind closed doors have destroyed the lives of so many of the innocent. Thanks to Putin's adrenochrome task force, paedophile cult leaders around the world can no longer rest assured that their crimes against children will be swept under the carpet like they are in the West. Remember when a secret tunnel system was discovered under a Chabad Jewish center in New York? And instead of asking obvious questions, the mainstream media covered up the story. The whole world saw footage of the NYPD pulling stained mattresses and booster seats from the secret tunnel system, discovered under the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. But USA Today fact-checkers are now saying that we should not believe our own eyes. Fact-checkers and mainstream media are directly funded by the global elites, including Bill Gates and George Soros, and they relentlessly spread fake news to cover up the crimes of their patrons. These crimes have real-world consequences. How much sooner would Jeffrey Epstein have been apprehended, his victims saved, and his VIP client list exposed if the mainstream media had not been under the orders to protect him at all costs?
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
Epstein was protected because he was doing the dirty work of the global elite. He met with Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak dozens of times in the years before his demise, always in private. Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend has testified in a lawsuit that the convicted paedophile boasted that he was an Israeli spy working for Mossad, who was gathering dirt on the world's most powerful men, all of whom had something in common: a taste for children. The mainstream media are complicit in this crime and responsible for the suffering of the unknown thousands of children who were raped, abused, and tossed to the wolves. But the people of the world are waking up, and the tide is turning on the elite and the depraved paedophilic lifestyles. Putin's newly formed adrenochrome task force is already bearing fruit. If you've ever wanted to generate your own supply of free electricity, this will be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. With new grid vulnerabilities, with electrical rates rising faster than any time in American history, there's never been a better time to protect your family with a plug-and-play solar generator. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, and computers, and even keep food from spoiling. Whether it's dangerous storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. Go to mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com to learn more. Use coupon code TPV and get over $1,500 off in free off-grid bonuses at mysolarbackup.com. Leaders of a Jewish fundamentalist cult were sentenced to more than a decade behind bars for kidnapping 2 kids, including a child bride, then smuggling them across international borders. 3 brothers, who were members of the Lev Tahor sect, forced the girl back into the arms of her adult husband in a sickening and sophisticated sex scheme that was exposed before they could flee to Israel.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, we know he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called Law of Return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk.
I just didn't know what people would think of me with the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to, let's see, join the homicide research. I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. I left within a week later.
It's not just paedophiles who flee to Israel for protection, it's organ traffickers too. Recent revelations have raised the question, is Israel a state or an organ harvesting mafia?
170 מטר מרובע. זה נחשב בנק גדול ביחס לעולם? זה הכי גדול בעולם.
הכי גדול בעולם?
כן.
מה אחוז התרומות ביחס לאנשים בישראל? כלומר, איזה אחוז?
למה צוחק? כי זו שאלה מאוד מוזרה. אני לא יכולה להגיד לך, הוא כל כך קטן.
אז שאלה לא מוזרה, תשובה מוזרה.
תשובה מוזרה. לא, התשובה לא מוזרה. משום שלא תורמים כמעט.
היה ידוע שחוץ מכל התפקידים שיש למכון, אז המכון הוא גם מספק איברים לבנק האור של מדינת ישראל, שהוא בעצם מהבנק האור של צה"ל, אבל מחיילים לא לקחו. לא נוגעים, משאירים שלם את החייל, מאוד חשוב, אבל לוקחים...
Israel is known to commit false flag attacks and blame Russia or terrorist groups in the Middle East. And often these inside jobs are done in collusion with the country's government to steal thousands of children for paedophilic purposes. Take the recent false flag attack in Kiev, for example, where the Western mainstream media was quick to accuse Russia of firing a missile into a children's hospital.
Ukraine's president vowing retaliation after a barrage of Russian missile strikes that killed at least 22 people in cities across Ukraine. A children's hospital was among the sites that were hit. Ukraine's Interior Ministry says that these strikes happened during rush hour, something that is rare because aerial assaults usually happen at night.
There was just one problem. The missile was identified as Boeing-made and NATO supplied. This was not a Russian attack. It was a Ukrainian false flag in collaboration with NATO. And the victims were Ukraine's own children. As former CIA analyst Larry Johnson told Judge Napolitano, the main US interest in Ukraine is child trafficking. Israel will continue to invest in Ukraine because they are interested in the flow of children from such tragedies.
Yeah, hey, Judge, remember, we've got reports coming out of Ukraine that children are being trafficked by the West, that they're being used for both sex, they're being used for harvesting organs. It's not isolated reports. They're very credible reports on this. And you come back and look at why is the United States so heavily invested in Ukraine? Because it's not because we're there to, quote, uphold democracy. If we're there to uphold democracy, we'd be attacking Ukraine.
More people are speaking up about the truth, and we are becoming an unstoppable force. Every time you share this information with people, you are helping the cause and bringing about the end of the cabal. But be warned, blowing the whistle on the elite is a dangerous game, as Hollywood actor Jim Caviezel found out when he shared what he knows about adrenochrome and the entertainment industry.
But we've seen this over and over again in the media. You said ivermectin's bad. That's listed under the NIH. Hydroxychloroquine is bad for us. That's listed under the NIH. Adrenochrome, that's not true. It's C9H9NO3. This is a chemical compound that is absolutely, this has been around in modern science since the 1930s. You can actually, there's a synthetic form and there's a regular, natural form, which is caused by torturing little kids to get their adrenaline up, essentially, and then extracting it from them. When you sit and meet, and so I brought this up a few years ago, and all of a sudden I was attacked by every media. Look it up. It's there. They absolutely went after me. And the next day, I never heard from my agency for 14 months. My lawyers let me go. My agency never called me after that, and essentially I was done. And so when we go and do movies like this, you spend a great deal of time with agents, working with them. I didn't realize the connection, though, to my industry and to Epstein Island and all of that. But obviously there is.
If you want to live in a world that's safe for our children, it's time to choose a side and make a stand. Are you on the side of the Hollywood entertainment system that corrupts and abuses children, and the mainstream media that covers up the crimes of abusers in positions of power? Or are you on the side of brave truth-tellers seen in this video, who are determined to make the world a safe place for our children? Come and help us expose the crimes of the elites by subscribing to the channel on Rumble and joining the People's Voice Locals community to join us in our mission to educate the world about what's really happening behind the scenes in the world today. I hope to see you there. Today's sponsor is Liver Medic. If you think the supplements you are getting from big box retailers are doing you any good, think again. Did you know that most of the retailers in America are owned and controlled by the same handful of companies that control everything? But we have a choice. Liver Medic's leaky gut repair is aimed at the millions of people suffering from all forms of digestive discomfort. Their safe and efficacious natural product is physician grade, with no toxic fillers. It coats while repairing the digestive lining. Best of all, unlike Big Pharma's offerings, it actually works. Join me and millions of other Americans who are voting with our dollars by supporting an American company that truly cares about our health. Save up to 15% on a 3-month supply by using our code People's Voice by visiting livermedic.com/step/leaky gut special, or by clicking on the link below this video. Take back control of your health, protect your family from the global elite, and hit them where it really hurts. Visit livermedic.com/step/leaky gut special, or click the link below this video to find out more.